call the April 23rd meeting of the Ann Arbor Independent Community Police Oversight Commission to order. We're going to quickly call the roll.
All right. Councilmember Song. Here. Chair Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Offman.
Here.
Commissioner Milgram.
Here.
Commissioner Pipkins.
Here.
Commissioner Green.
Right here.
Commissioner Haynes.
Here.
Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner Alike. Commissioner Francis. Councilmember Harrison. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'm going to move quickly because I understand this might be a brief meeting. We may lose a quorum. So a couple of things. I'm going to ask for a motion, joint motion to approve the agenda and approve the minutes. May I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Any seconds?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Both motions pass. It's time now for public comment. Yes, sir, please. Feel free to come on up.
Before, just let me know when you're ready to start. You will
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready to start. I'll be brief and then I will leave.
Let me just
Okay, I have 3 minutes.
Yep, I'm just going to start the timer. Just 1 second. Good?
Hello, my name is Cortland. I'm going to tell you a brief story and then I'm out of here. Once upon a time I was in Roanoke City. I found myself in Roanoke City Jail. I'll admit, that was a poor decision on my part. That didn't change the fact that I didn't belong there. I was still put there. And why was that? Somebody called the police when they shouldn't have. That happens a lot in this nation. We've even had a national discussion about it. We even have a name for it, don't we? Karen. Yeah, that's why I was in Roanoke City Jail. I still had to prove that in court and didn't have any difficulty doing that. But the trouble is, I had to spend 9 days in Roanoke City Jail puking waterfalls because why? Oh, they thought I was dangerous. In fact, here was their argument for how dangerous I was. He seemed as if mental illness was involved in his decision-making. Okay. I guess that's a passive conditional statement. I don't know what kind of grammar that is, but yeah, that was their justification. So in short, they were arguing that the reason why they were charging me for assault and battery to a misdemeanor effect was because I was mentally ill at the time. Yeah, and that's why they were pushing papers in front of me from Blue Ridge Behavioral Health Services, because that's who offered mental health treatment in Roanoke City and that particular jurisdiction. What's the point of this story? The point of this story is when we finally went to court, the same Commonwealth attorney who stared across me from the courtroom when I was first arraigned on my charges, staring at me like a hawk, like I was so guilty. When we finally went to court, she wasn't so certain and cocksure. And the reason why, she was a stereotypical Karen. But the reason why is because she caused what I call Karenitis for my accuser. Yeah, that's why I was in jail. Karen dialed 911, made up a story to the police, and to top it off, even subjected me to gaslighting, claiming that I had self-here because I had mental issues, huh? Yeah. Well, if that were all true, then why did the Commonwealth attorneys forfeit? I remember it like it was yesterday. The Commonwealth's Attorney's Office declined to prosecute nolle prosequi. That's the only decision better than not guilty in this country. And you want to know why I got that decision? Because I proved my point.
30 seconds.
Instead of
30 seconds.
So in short, the reason why I'm not guilty is because forced insanity pleas like forced confessions are not constitutional. They violate the 5th Amendment or Section 17, Article 1 of the Michigan State Constitution. And that's why your Oversight Committee is worthless. Your police department and our police are using the mental health code to get easy convictions and fill quotas for Genoa healthcare. Thank you for your time, Yankees. Liberal, you're not. Oh, my apologies if I called you Nazis. You're more like communists. Done.
Thank you.
We also do have a caller
Okay.
on, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute. Caller, could you please unmute yourself and identify yourself for public comment? You will have 3 minutes. Hello? caller ending in 000, you are unmuted. Oh, I'm not ready. Hi again, caller.
Hello?
Yes, if you could please
Yes.
state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes for public comment.
I would be a citizen of Ann Arbor. Am I able to speak now?
Yes. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, so I was the actual caller that wasn't able to figure out how to unmute my last meeting, and so I would like to establish that I have a learning curve. I think that in order to, if not to promote its accessibility, you should not allow the Ann Arbor Police to follow citizens that speak out at public meetings from Larcombe City Hall to their car, and then actually prevent officers from assaulting citizens that speak out at public meetings within 24 hours. I was assaulted by Sean Stewart, an Ann Arbor police officer, less than 24 hours from speaking out at an ITPOC meeting, and he addressed me by name, and I've never met this person. I think this makes the city of Ann Arbor and the city of Ann Arbor Police Department look very ill-trained, and makes all of us look bad when you have officers, especially the president of the Ann Arbor Police Union, that his ego is so sensitive that he needs to physically assault a citizen for speaking out for police transparency. I think that the Ann Arbor Police needs to really have a systematic retraining on how they represent themselves and the city of Ann Arbor and the residents, because as a lifelong native Ann Arbor resident, I think that the Ann Arbor Police, through their actions of retaliation on petty things like citizens speaking out for transparency, makes us all look bad. Thank you for your time and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's everybody for public comment.
I'm not sure, I know that people can make complaints to ICPOC verbally.
And they have.
And so this gentleman has made okay, so we have a complaint. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Moving on.
Chair report.
My chair report. Couple of things. Our next meeting, our main meeting, is scheduled for a public forum. We want to introduce the community, introduce the chief to our community. And we are sending out a lot of invites. So we are certainly hopeful that we will get a number of community members to come out. And there are some, I know last time, Councilperson Harrison had some suggestions, and I don't think we got all of them. So we're going to pass this around. Let's pass one that way. And if you are in any organizations, I know I've sent it out to every organization that I know of, and I know Commissioner Haynes has really been a big help in getting the word out. So, you know, churches, fraternities, whatever, civic organizations, and I know some of them work better if we take them some written material they can put on the board or something. So let us know that might work better with some of these organizations than an email. So if you would please, in the next day or so.
Yes, and if you need more time to think of any organizations, you can also email them directly to me.
Now, normally, May meeting would be the time for selection of officers, chair and vice chair going forward. This May, I'm going to ask that we postpone that until June because of the public forum. And I would ask for a motion to move the selection of chair and vice chair for next year to the June meeting. Can I have someone make that motion, please?
Make a motion. So moved.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Very good. So we will do that at the May meeting. I expect that the May meeting, we will have an agenda, but I expect it will be very brief. And Chief, you're going to be on it first up. And so that's going to take up, we'll call it to order and do a few things, and hopefully we'll just have a good social visit on that occasion.
What is the date?
The 28th. Okay. We did get an invitation, well, it's not really an invitation, it was a notice. I think I mentioned at the last meeting that the East Lansing Oversight Commission wants to work with us. And they are going to be having someone come in and give them a training session. The date isn't set yet, but it's a training session. The topics are going to include Fourth Amendment and criminal law basics, levels of suspicion, warrants, warrantless stops and searches, and that kind of thing. I don't know, I know Commissioner Green doesn't need this kind of refresher, and I may not as well, but if anyone is not familiar with those basics of criminal law, I will let you know when it is scheduled. It's going to be 3 hours, and it'll probably be there in Lansing, but I will let you know. So look for that invitation. I think it would be really nice if we could go. Did everyone get a chance to look at the NACO 13 NACO Principles of Effective Oversight? Oh, wait a minute, this isn't what I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I know, it's me, no. This is, no.
Okay.
At the last meeting, we passed out NACO Principles for Oversight that I'm going to ask us, I guess, at the June meeting now, to take a look at, because we can sign on as a commission that has adopted those principles for ourselves. So that would come up again at the June meeting. We have had a couple of interviews. We have one vacancy as well as our youth member vacancy, so we have had interviews for those, and I think they're on their way to council. So, both of them?
Yes, we're just waiting for one more approval for the youth commission, and we'll be all set.
Okay. All right. So hopefully we'll be up to full speed. And I believe that that's all that I have today. I'm going to ask Chief Anderson if you want to address us at this point, and the floor is open to you.
So we don't have all business? We do have one.
Get to it.
We'll be on the timer.
No, not at all. Not at
I
all.
need to be on that timer. You know what, Chair Carter, I really appreciate the opportunity, all commissioners here, for allowing me to be here to serve you as your Ann Arbor Police Chief. What I feel comfortable with is the reception that I received from the men and women of the police department and their approach to where we're going to address many of the challenges that we have in the community, as well as being collaborative partners with APOC. We've had lots of conversations about where we want to go. There's a lot of vibrancy with respect to how we can move the needle forward. I'm very pleased to have a really good leadership team, and that's what we're happy about. We really want to work with the community. I really want us to embrace the community, and I really believe in your mission, because I know we can build a collaborative partnership between the police department, the community, and APOC. And I am very happy. I am very much a supporter of the commission, because I believe that when you have community members come together and they have a body in which they feel comfortable talking to the commission, because people do not feel comfortable talking to the police. then you can be a conduit to help us modify, rethink, and reform policing in a way that allows for the Ann Arbor Police Department to be a model agency across the country. And that is what our goal is, and we cannot do that without you, and so we're committed to you. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And we're happy to see your leadership team. We hope to see a lot of officers at the public forum. We tried once to send a message to the union, and we didn't have an address or something. We couldn't, so we don't know how to communicate, but we would really appreciate, next an opportunity for the officers to also meet the community. So we're going to try and get that invitation out. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we need a vote for. And
New business, ICMA membership.
Okay, all right.
So we don't have any old business.
No old business?
No old business, but then it's new business.
Does any of the commissioners have any old business that they wish to bring up at this point?
I don't have any necessarily old business, but I am curious as to what that forum is going to look like. Will Chief Anderson address, essentially, if I could use that word, and that's not exactly the word that I want to use, but how are you going to engage the community? What are you looking for from the community? Will we have the opportunity for community members to speak with you, ask questions, maybe even register concerns? One of the things that I heard a little bit ago, and it made me go back to my time when I was on the task force, and we had 2 or 3 community forums, and we went to our community members because we found that in each task force meeting that we had, the representation from the Black and brown community was not there. And when we questioned that, what we were hearing from, especially our Black males, was that they were concerned about appearing at that meeting for fear that there would be retaliation from the police department. So I want to make sure that when we have this forum, that that we mitigate that fear, and I don't know how we do that, essentially, but having some conversation with the community and allowing the community to speak to you, your leadership team, and be very honest with how you respond. So I'm really concerned with what this is going to look like. It really has to be a place where community members are going to feel safe and feel that they can honestly speak to and ask questions of. So
I do like that, and what I see the police department being as part of a problem-solving community, where we work collaboratively with the community and we work together to resolve issues. One concern that I've had for many years is that having the police department come up with ways to solve problems in the community for those we police, without having the people that we police tell us how they want us to police. So those are things that we're working on. There are a couple of things that I think we can do to help bridge the gap. One thing that I know for sure is that our first meeting, we will not get that accomplished in May, because it's just one meeting, and what needs to happen for my staff is we have to have what's called frequency of interaction. The more you frequently interact with people, the more comfortable you are. So that means that we're going to have a series of listening sessions those listening sessions would bring our command staff, our police officers together in the community with people that are not as comfortable talking to the police. And it has to be in an environment where they feel comfortable. It has to be in an environment where we're not wearing a police uniform, but at some point we do have to wear a police uniform. So people get used to us. And when we listen, then we have to come up with solutions. But the big thing for us as we meet with individuals is to really move away from judgment, to move away from creating situations where people have fear, and then not only blaming the police department, but bringing other entities involved in those meetings. Our Parks and Recs, which we're working now with different community members that can bring wraparound services, other folks that we have to bring to the table to start having conversations about how we move the community policing model. But really the end of it is, what has to happen is, at least for me, when I'm dealing with people that look like me, they have to know I care. And that's the most important thing. And they have to know our employees care. Because when you care, that can resolve a lot of issues. So it's going to take time. We're going to have to get in the community and work with people.
In terms of how it's going to look, but I have envisioned, we're going to be at the library, Westgate branch. And to start at 6 with reception. Call the meeting together, call the meeting at 6:30. Have about 15 minutes of, and maybe not even that long, of business. And then part of that business would be inviting the chief up, and then having, I don't know if we want to limit it to 3 minutes, but have an opportunity for the community to ask questions or make comments or whatever. So that'll be part of the agenda. And then finish with the rest of a reception type.
Okay. Chief Anderson, thank you. I get that this one time is not going to be enough. It has to be ongoing. I'm just very concerned. Well, I shouldn't say I'm concerned, but I would hope that that evening that people would feel comfortable enough and hear that the police department is open to having ongoing conversations with the community, and that there will be a way in which that can happen.
Right. I think that what I could do, generally how this works for me, in my experience, is you have police advisory committees. Generally, the police advisory committee would have people in the community act as like kind of a steering committee. But I don't think that that's an approach that I would take here in Ann Arbor, and the reason why is because we have the commission. So the commission serves with that body. But outside of the commission, it's just getting the right people to have those very authentic conversations, is setting, like I said, the frequency of them taking place, whether we're at the Peace Center or we're at the library or we're at other places. I have a lot of very, very good staff members that I don't know if people have actually heard their voice. I don't know if people have actually got an opportunity to hear them. And so it's going to take more than just me in order to move the mountain forward. But again, it's setting up the meetings at locations where people feel comfortable. Sometimes where the police don't feel comfortable. Going into people's residence, we're doing that now with people. We have Lieutenant Mills and us. We're going and talking to people. We're working on talking to people now in locations where perhaps maybe even police officers don't feel comfortable going. But we'll do that. And we'll talk to people from where they're at. We will work with the faith-based organizations. We'll work with many other organizations. And we will just be authentic and genuine about the issues that we have. And over time, we hope that we can make significant changes. But I know, as I talk to our employees about, is that throughout our career, there will be numerous conversations that we can talk about when we make perhaps a significant arrest. And many times when that happens, we help a victim. But really the true spirit of your career is when you can talk about when you touched and changed someone's life. And that's what I want us to do. When we've modified a young person's career path, or we've helped someone get out of a situation where they needed assistance. And that's what we're called to do. And so galvanizing that spirit in the leadership of our department is where I see the organization going. But Commissioner, what has to happen is it's got to start with me. They have to see me being a person that has a great deal of love for people in the community. But the police officers have to see that I love them as well. And that's what their spirit is. And I think that's starting to resonate with the police department, because I talk to Patrick, and I know Patrick would say, I tell him, I say, hey, you know, I will push you to be the best, but I'm not gonna always be nice. Sometimes we'll be tough on you. And I think he would say that that's the case, but I love him. I want him to do well. And he is doing well. And the rest of them. But that's what I want to be, is a compassionate, authentic leader, and I'm building a team that can do that.
If I can add, one of the things that Chief Anderson told me early on before, when he first came, was, tell me where you need me to be. And it's something that the department has shown, at least in Ward 2, where Councilmember Chris Watson and I invited the department out when our neighborhood association we regularly have food trucks come, because we're busy parents, we hate cooking, so we just needed a break. But it was a good opportunity for the department to come and meet community members who were they had a lot of questions about some just low-level crime in the neighborhood, and understanding what they can do. And honestly, I think residents just wanted to know that they were heard beyond calling and getting an incident reported. They wanted to know, is this an ongoing situation? Did you really hear me when I first reported it? And when the officers came to our neighborhood park, folks had trouble identifying them until they figured it out that it was the way that they stood, because they weren't in uniform. You didn't come in marked cars either, but you stood in a circle and you had this stance. So that's how we were able to identify you. But I think the message was that the department's available, but they do need some guidance as to how they can be invited into community. So maybe that's an exercise we can do next month, which is if we had sheets out with sticky pads and say, how would you like to see us? Where would you like to see AAPD in community? How would you like officers to show up? How can they improve? We see them at community events. Chief Anderson was at the groundbreaking for the Catherine housing development last Sunday. And that was really significant, because that's housing that's targeted to low-income residents. It's the first effort that we have using affordable housing millage funds, and the community engagement, it was a reflection of a historically Black neighborhood downtown. For Chief Anderson to come out pretty low-key and meeting all the community members who were part of that community engagement effort was really significant. So I think hopefully, we can have a better conversation with the department where we can say, it's not always at a point of crisis that we get to know you or leadership. It's actually in points of celebration in our community. And where there are times where there are normal activities where folks are coming together, we should think of you as a way to invite you all.
Very good, thank you. So I'm gonna just do one thing, because I believe Commissioner Pickens has to leave. And there's one item that we need to vote on while we still have a quorum. And that is... Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So, I did write those. So, Kennedy Cummings, that's myself, would like to become a member of the International City County Management Association, the ICMA for short. The ICMA is the world's leading association of professional city and county management and other employees who serve local government. That's me. The membership annual dues cost $200 and will be included in the staff liaison's professional development. I'm the staff liaison. The commission would need to vote and approve the cost of the annual dues from the ICLAC budget, because that is where it comes from because of my job. So, is there any questions about the ICMA? I'm happy to share and answer, and just to say to the commission, this is something that I've wanted to do for a long time in my professional career. I am excited to be a part of this organization and association. I think this is going to help me not only serve you all better, but to serve this community better.
So this is an organization that, again, for professional development, and I think we all know the service that Ms. Cummins provides to not only our commission, but also the Human Rights Commission and the Commission on Disabilities. So we have the funds in our budget to pay the yearly $200 for her membership, and I would ask for a motion to approve that expenditure for that membership.
I so move.
I support.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, that is done. So, thank you, Commissioner Pipkin.
Give Kennedy anything that she needs.
I'm
open to friendly amendments.
Anything at all.
Well, that's kind, you guys, thanks, and,
Okay.
just, paid lunches ever so often. We can add that.
I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you, guys, I really do appreciate it a lot.
Okay, so I understand there's no old business. Is there any new business that anyone has and would like to bring up?
Could I just piggyback on the question raised by Commissioner Haynes?
Oh, sure.
Because I think that was an excellent question in terms of what is the public forum going to look like? Because it could be a formal setting. We have hosted public forums before. We had the sheriff and the chief of police for Ann Arbor and the prosecutor. And those were pretty formal, where they all sat at a table and we fired questions at them. Okay? But there's also value in an informal setting where people can just meet the chief,
Yeah.
shake his hand, wish him well, without firing questions at him. But people have questions that they want to ask, so I'm thinking it might be beneficial to have some kind of hybrid look where it's formal and yet informal. But we really need to think about what that's going to look like, because he's new on the job, and I don't think it's fair to him for us to fire questions at him, although people have questions, and I'm sure he has answers. But there's still value in that informal approach. Just get to meet the chief, shake his hand, wish him well. So what is it going to look like?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just going on the basis of what we did last year, which was a very, very successful public forum, I think.
Okay.
Where, I think it is sort of what you described, and that's the way you were describing it too. We're going to have a reception at the beginning where it's quite informal. But I do think if we're going to, last year we had about 40, we're hoping to have more this year. We had a nice crowd, but I think part of it was people did have an opportunity to get up and make a comment or ask a question, and we can maybe have people submit a question ahead of time so we can call on them and we can sort of moderate that. But I think if we're going to invite people, and I think it would be great to give the public an opportunity to ask a few, mostly friendly questions, I suppose. But we can't guarantee that. But so that's the way it was last year. It was Dr. Kirby gave a presentation, and there was also the new ordinance, and so people were really interested and asked good questions. And so anyway, I think that's what we did last year, just what you're describing, kind of a hybrid, and I think sounds like that's what you're intending.
That is what I have in mind. I think writing the questions might be a good idea. We did that before, didn't we? We passed out questions if anyone had a question. Now, we can do it that way, or we can have an open mic come up and talk for 3 minutes. What's your pleasure?
Well, I think what dictates that is the number of people who are going to be attending. If it's going to be quite a crowd, maybe having the questions already submitted by the public, that would be a good way to do. If we have less people and few people are going to be asking questions, maybe there will be an open mic.
And maybe if there's a situation where people had index cards and they have an opportunity to fill out a question, then the moderator takes about maybe 10 or 12 of those questions and asks the chief. That way it doesn't become a dialogue back and forth, because you don't want that. Because it can be contentious. It can turn into something contentious, which you don't want. You don't want that. So the moderator has to take full control of that.
I think that's what we did last time.
So last time at the public forum, so we did have like a box set up to where if those who wanted
Take
to
a
ask
few of those
questions.
questions, not everything.
Yeah,
Right.
for those who
How
wanted
many there are.
to, like ask questions, they could submit them, but like if they didn't want to get up to say like come to the mic, that they could have it and I would read them off. But a lot of folks at the last event preferred to ask them, like get up and ask themselves, which is okay, but like you said, it's either option, or both options, whatever you all prefer, because of the space and where we're having this, you guys can set it up any way you guys prefer. If you guys want to do sticky notes on the walls, if you guys prefer to do, an area where people can write out questions or have a mic so people can come up, it's optional. We have options to make this space into the meeting that we see fit for the community to have.
Well,
So,
if the idea is to meet the chief,
right. That's gonna
The
be,
idea is for the chief to meet the commission, the community.
well, right, but it's both ways.
Yeah,
Not
it
just
is.
Us meeting him, it's him meeting us, right? Both of us, right? I mean, what I'm saying is this. To a certain extent, we want it to be a friendly atmosphere.
Yes.
And I know that the chief has been in contentious situations, particularly with the public, because you don't know what somebody's going to say once they have the mic.
True, that is true.
There's got to be a moderator,
okay.
someone to read the questions, and at some point, cut the questions off, and just go shake the chief's hand.
And have some
Get
cake
reading.
juicy gold.
Right, because it can turn contentious, which you don't want.
So we can,
You don't want, so it's got to be controlled. That's just my opinion.
No, I think,
I agree with you. I think that is.
It's got to be controlled.
We'll do that, so
So-
Chair Carter would
Control
want to
the-
collect the questions and then want me to read them off as the moderator.
Yeah.
I can do
Not
that.
all of them, just.
No,
you gotta limit that.
I'll look through and make sure I
Yeah.
pick out some, some good ones, but also some ones to get his mind thinking, and I'll make sure. And then I'll read them off as
Cut
the
it off at
moderator.
some point,
Yeah,
and just go,
So one,
that's why it's gonna be part of the actual meeting,
yeah.
so that there is some control, we can call it.
That'll be refreshments, I'm just wondering.
We are definitely gonna have
I'm hungry.
refreshments. We are definitely gonna have refreshments.
Okay, keep it light.
so
Yeah,
one
yeah.
last question.
Sure.
I know, I don't want to be too that here. But how are we going to inform the community?
so then I'll reach out to you.
How are we gonna, okay, we've got, you gave me a great resource. So that has gone out to all of the black fraternities, sororities. It's going out to churches, to synagogues, to mosques.
In live?
Now, I'm glad you brought that up. Do we have a contact at Ann Arbor News or MLive? Does anybody?
You should.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So-
But I think Ryan Stanton was there last time too, so he's the
Oh,
reporter.
yes, he was there. That's right, he was.
So do we send, how do we get him to put it in?
I don't even know how he knew last time. Maybe he watches these.
I can contact them and let them know the event that we're having. And we
Good.
But we did, on our social media platforms, we have been following a lot of organizations, associations, and community members, and Live having to be one of them, so.
But you can make direct contact with him
Yeah.
and so we get it on there.
And,
Thank you.
and so the community has an idea of what this is gonna look like. So,
I have another suggestion, but I don't know how we can get into that, is having posters in the buses. Because lots of people who are using the buses are the ones who are underserved. And maybe that would encourage some to show up.
And the library too. So when I was on the library board, the downtown branch, over the course of the weekend when they have events, like they had a major Taylor Swift album day that had hundreds, there was like 400 people there last Friday. But when they have these weekend events, it's about 3,000 people that come to that downtown branch at a time. So their outreach is pretty significant. Yeah.
So can
The
you
library.
make contact with them?
Yeah, so I know for the Ann Arbor District Library at the Westgate branch, they have posted the flyer that was approved, and so what we could do is see if they're able to extend that flyer to the other branches as well.
Yeah.
And the main branch is the one you're talking about
Get
downtown.
Taylor Swift to come, and we'll cover it.
I mean, we should be just as good as Taylor Swift.
Well, we'll see.
And then, but there's also, you can bring food in that. If you're unfamiliar with the Westgate Conference Room in the back, it's really nice. So the library board has strategic planning sessions there. You can have food, and it's so well, and there's little kids running around too. So I think that really helps with that, like, community-based feeling with kids running around and other groups meeting at the same time.
We did the site survey last week, so
Yeah, it's so nice.
Okay.
And do we have a Facebook page?
I'll get that to that at the outreach committee update.
Yeah, that outreach committee is gonna report on it.
Okay.
Good, thank you. Gonna move along, in terms of other new business. It was mentioned to me, last year, for the last couple of years, we've had a couple of meetings outdoors. We had one at Farmers Market, we had one at that Cobblestone Farms. I don't think it increased our viewership at all.
No.
But I want to bring it up and see, we have a June meeting coming up, which will be our last meeting before the summer break, where we don't meet in July or August. So if you would like to have a meeting outside because it's June, if you'd like to have, I thought maybe, roast hot dogs and invite the officers. I mean, we could do pretty much anything we want to do. And I guess I should leave that to the outreach committee, but they're not here. So what do you think about doing something different for June?
Well, there's Juneteenth. We had a table with.
And we will do that again.
That's an idea.
We had a table at Juneteenth last time. And, by the way, I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't know if I need to get approval, because I didn't get approval for the things we passed out at Juneteenth. But we need a tablecloth. One of those cloths with the ICPOC logo on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and order that, unless there's an objection from Dollar Bills Printing. So we'll have that for Juneteenth. And last time, I was there all day, so if anybody else wants to mark that off and come out and sit at the table and hand out stuff and talk, I mean, it was fun, but, we all need to get out. Okay, so what if, June meeting, council chambers?
Not to complicate things, what about the Ann Arbor Fair, which meets, I think, the first Saturday in June?
Saturday in June, yeah.
A table or
They have a
something?
table?
The art fair?
No,
I'm not trying to
no, it's
complicate
the
things.
African, it's the
Oh, the downtown.
Yeah.
African American Fair.
Yeah, African American
Yeah,
Fair. And
fourth
of
and, yeah.
course, we don't want to suggest, and I think that we are really caution ourselves, we don't want to suggest that policing is a black issue.
Right.
It's not. It's a community issue. It's truly a community issue. So what we want is a forum that gets all the stakeholders in all the communities. That's what you really want. That's my opinion.
Such as, a forum such as,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
Have to brainstorm on that. But
Well, yeah, okay, let's think about it. Let's think about it. We can communicate. I know everybody is reading your city emails. Even though everybody doesn't get back to me all the time, but let's make sure we check our city emails. And let me know, because if we don't come up with any ideas, and the forum is a big deal, so maybe June, we just want to go to council chambers, and that's okay. So we'll be communicating on that. Committee reports. Policy Committee, we welcome back. I don't know if you have anything to report.
Well, I mean, I would just say that we had numerous recommendations from the last several months, or maybe back several months ago, and that have been incorporated into the annual report.
Right.
But beyond that, I don't have a current update.
Thank you. And I have asked Commissioner Green to leave your committee.
You've asked them to leave?
Yes, because I asked him to.
There's something I didn't say?
No. I asked him to join the information managers because I felt that his background would lend itself to reviewing the complaints. So you have one less member, and I'll try to recruit someone else. Okay. Training Committee, Commissioner Haynes, you have a report?
We had an excellent
Yes,
meeting, lots of questions. It was a great meeting, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
And I think that everybody get a copy of the, that PowerPoint presentation, yeah. And we were invited to take part in, help me, Lieutenant. It's a virtual thing, virtual reality.
Yes.
So, you know, and I understand that there's room for 4 of us
Yes.
to go, and so I want to go.
And I'm going.
Commissioner Haynes wants to go. Did somebody else tell me they want to go?
I'll be there to support you. I'm not doing it. I'll be there to support you.
You're not gonna do
As
it?
a board.
You're not gonna do it?
now where's it at?
It's going to be here.
Okay.
It's going to be here, right, Lieutenant?
Yes, it'll be in this building right here.
So we just have to pick a date, right?
Yep, just gotta coordinate it and get it together and we'll be going.
So we've got 2, if anybody, let me know, and I'm going to try and get us a date where we go in and
You're gonna come back with like Matrix moves. I need video.
So, we do appreciate the information that we got at that training meeting, very much. The Outreach Committee, Commissioner Francis was not able to make it. She did send an email and wanted to make sure that we knew that they had set up the forum and are working on that. Is there anything else for outreach?
So Commissioner Francis, along with my help, we designed communications for the public on our social media platforms that went out last week. We do not have a Facebook, but we do have Instagram and Twitter. We don't have the youth commissioner yet, so I've taken it upon myself to dive back into the social media world and do the best I can to make sure it gets out there. So I did share online that we are having a public forum with the language that Commissioner Francis came up with. So that went pretty well. People are liking it. I did also share that we have a meeting tonight. So I did that so people know more about you guys. So if there's anything in the upcoming weeks, we are still planning to promote the public forum any way, shape, or form that we need to on the platforms. But the goal is to then send out a final invitation to our bulletin, our email list, so that, again, we are inviting association, organizations, community members. And so that's why we have the sheet. She wanted to make sure that I shared that with you all to make sure that I am getting the contact information for the groups and individuals and entities that you all would like to come. But if you have any other ideas on how the outreach committee could be reaching out to other organizations or associations, please email me or email Commissioner Francis. We're definitely interested in to know ways. As far for flyers, once the final flyer of the invite is done, we can get those printed out and we can share them. We would just need to know, or I would just need to know where you all are trying to publicize these flyers and making sure that these flyers are approved to be publicized here, because I don't want us to go and put something up and then it gets torn down because we didn't get approval.
Can those flyers be done electronically, and can we individually send them out, or do we need to go through you?
I think you can send out invites from the commission emails if I'm not mistaken, correct?
See why you wouldn't be able to for a public forum.
Yeah, so you should be able to do that from your city.
Okay.
Commissioner Green,
What's the age limit for the youth commissioner?
it's just supposed to be a student. I don't think there is an age limit.
Or
It should be like a college student or high school.
Under
High school
25.
student.
Does it say specifically under
Under
25?
25, I believe.
Under 25.
Yeah, okay, use wage.
All right.
Don't worry, I'm under.
Okay, by the way, let me say this, next year, when we get our calendar together, today's a Jewish holiday,
Yes, it is.
and we need to make sure that we don't set our meetings on holidays. So, everybody, we'll get the calendar early in the year, let's make sure that we check on that. City council update,
Oh, information.
I'm sorry, oh, I forgot the information manager, so.
You can skip that.
Okay.
No, it's a work in progress, and I did send you today dates and times if we're going to meet.
Yep, you three, so
Yeah.
after the meeting, y'all huddle together.
Okay.
Date and time.
That's fine.
So it's tomorrow, Thursday, next week, Monday and Tuesday, anytime after 3, we can have Zoom meeting.
And just to go over the
just go over the
process.
That's fine.
Yeah, and it's again, it's a work in progress, and I'm glad that Mr. Green, Commissioner Green will be joining us, and that will accelerate the process. I think we have, I would imagine that by next meeting, at least with 21, 22 complaints will be, 20, 22, 21 complaints will be completed, and then we'll go back to 2020, because those were the old ones that really the approach to reviewing the data or the reviewing the complaints were so scattered in a way that there were so many commissioners and no one seemed to have anything in place. So we need to work on those ones, and that would be a great step. And for the 2024, I think we have 5 complaints so far. There's nothing being sent to us. I think there's one we got from different Lieutenant Paterni. He said that one complaint is being reviewed by an external site here because of the nature of the complaint itself. So when we have this material, we'll have the stuff ready for you and me to review.
Yeah, I think one of the good things that we're doing is getting things systematized. I think we have our system
Yes.
in place. It's very few outliers. For 2022, I've got one that I haven't finished because I can't get the video to work. I mean, things like that. I think initially, and I was told this, that it was decided somewhere on our end that we were only going to review certain complaints. And we have to go back and say, no, we want to review all of the complaints. But we do have, we have a procedure now in place, and it's going to, I think, move really quickly.
Okay, so the question I have is, does the process, and will the process, does it have a mechanism, or will it have a mechanism for weeding out what might be considered frivolous
No,
complaints?
no. And we did, I mean, they happen, and your response can be, I agree with the determination of the department.
We don't discriminate among the complaints.
Right.
Whatever complaint that was submitted, either directly to APD or through ECFAT, will be reviewed.
Will be reviewed.
The disposition from the department is either it's unfounded, meaning that it's just somebody created this complaint, or not sustained, meaning that was reviewed and the complaint did not reach a point of being sustained or sustained.
Okay, so the message is, there's no complaint too big or too small.
That's right.
No,
That's right.
Okay.
Because we have to be objective in that we reviewed all the cases, and I think most of the time we agree with the findings, and there are times when we don't agree.
Okay.
Because lack of video. If an encounter happened that, yes, there's an investigation, yes, there was a text and all these things, but there was no video for us to review. Either the video was deleted, or the video was short. There was one incident, a road case, and there was like 30 seconds or 40 seconds of video. So that by itself does not support us to say, well, we agree with the findings. We know that this incident happened, but to be objective, I did not see the material in the video to make judgment off of that. So we'll reserve the...
There will be some that you'll look at and you won't need to see the video. And that's why I know that your experience is going to come in handy, because some you just say, look at the complaint, you read the complaint, you read what the department said, and that you won't need to.
Okay.
You won't need to. But I'm sorry, but there are some too big for us. If litigation's involved, we don't deal with it. I got an email today from someone in California who's doing research, and she wanted to know about our input in discovery in lawsuits. And our response, we don't deal with it. We don't deal with that at all. So those kind of complaints we don't deal with. But, okay, very good, thank you.
And sometimes you have a conversation between the police department and the complainant. Sometimes there's no recording of that. So one of the conditions we have is anytime there's an interaction between the citizen and the police department, if that is the only means of communication, that has to be recorded. And this is why we brought it up to was presented to the council, because that requires funding, or police officers who are out and they are being called to investigate or to check certain calls, that they have to have the body-worn cameras on, but sometimes they don't. Well, this is an issue of funding. Sometimes the video malfunctions. These things have to be improved, or get maybe the new version of the cameras, etc., versus being malfunction. So
I'm just thinking about situations where someone complains, say about an outcome of a court case, which has nothing to do with police oversight. But,
On a criminal case?
They brought a complaint. I got arrested in jail. 30 days in jail. Where's, you got nothing to do with that.
Right.
Right?
I haven't seen many days.
I think there was one case that was sent to us. Someone was, I think, taken to jail, and he was not a resident over here. He was not like arrested over here or so, and send us the complaint. And our idea was it's outside our jurisdiction. We can't review that. Your problem is with the sheriff, or your problem is with somebody else's.
They're all different, but we're going to meet about it. We're going to meet
That's
about it.
fine. Yeah.
We're going
We're gonna move on.
Okay, all right, thank you. City council update.
Sure. A couple things, because it's budgeting season. One thing that Councilmember Harrison and I are working on, along with other council members, is taking a look at how we can dedicate the marijuana excise tax rebate funds that we receive. So Ann Arbor is, I think we receive the most in marijuana taxes in the state. So those dispensaries have been very supportive of the city, and it's about 1.1 million this year compared to the million last year. Last year we had dedicated $250,000 to addiction prevention, $250,000 to low-income youth services, $400,000 to trauma-informed case management for tenant-based services for tenant-based voucher households, and $100,000 to the Delana Center. The city administrator's proposed budget already includes funding for the Delana Center from the general fund. So what we're trying to do is take a look at what that money has been used for in the past year. We have a report from a number of agencies who deployed that $400,000 wraparound services for mostly folks who are returning citizens. And that was used for trauma-informed case management, peer support, mentorship, move-in access, security deposits, rent arrears, and utility shutoffs. And that was coordinated by the Shelter Association, SOS Community Services, Catholic Social Services, Washington Housing Alliance, and A Brighter Way. So at the last council meeting, folks from A Brighter Way presented on the impact of this funding, this $400,000 in the community, and it was pretty significant because there was no other funding like this in the county, but for the city to make that a priority. And for Cynthia, Councilmember Harrison, her motivation was that this funding should be, that this revenue should be a way to address the impact on on drugs having an impact in our communities, the war on drugs and how it's been so hurtful. So she figured she'd like to continue that funding again this year, but increase it from $400,000 to $500,000. And now we're trying to figure out where else the other $500,000 for marijuana excise tax revenue can be dedicated. So that's an ongoing conversation. We're hearing from different social service agencies. But for Councilmember Harrison, I think for her, she's like, this really needs to address the impact of the war on drugs and how this revenue does not benefit. I mean, I don't think there are very many dispensaries who are owned by BIPOC community members, and that's a significant issue too. So between now and May, May is in 2 weeks. Between now and the second council meeting, I think if you have any feedback or thoughts as to how we can deploy this funding, if you've heard from within the community, that'd be helpful. I had a thought about possibly putting some funding towards childcare. I know folks who've been incarcerated or have been affected by the justice system struggle with very expensive costs in the city. We have very limited childcare options, multi-year wait lists, and limited options within our public schools, which is also struggling. But these are just that's just an idea. Anyways, yeah. So, but kudos to Councilmember Harrison for coming up with that bulk of money, 400,000 of that 1 million last year, and saying this should be really dedicated to wraparound services, and for her to see that through is very significant in our community. As for the rest of the budget, City Administrator Mahoney has dedicated everything except for $1 million. So at this council meeting, he said it's up to you, council, on how you would like to dedicate this remaining $1 million. I feel like it's a game show. I feel like he's just putting us to this test where we need to demonstrate how well we know our community and where the needs are. So again, if you have thoughts as to where we can redeploy $1 million within the city to benefit our residents, this is a good time for it. And if you're saying that you need additional funding for this particular commission, not $1 million, but not $1 million. But if you want us to have this conversation to remind fellow council members that this is the dedicated funding that we have for this effort is used well. It's always a good reminder of how our public dollars are deployed. And then I also should apologize, I missed the last meeting. My father was in critical condition last month, so I've been traveling and figure out care for him, and I might have to travel again. And I might have to miss the community meeting, depending on his health condition, so I apologize.
Well, we certainly wish you safe travels.
Thank you.
And blessings and help for your thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We are at communications. And speaking of budget, we do have a budget and we need to use it because at some point somebody's going to say, hey, NACO's got some, I'm sorry, ICPOC has money and they're not spending it. So again, NACO conference, please try and go. It's this fall, October, and it's going to be in Tucson, as I understand it. So last time 4 of us went to Chicago. If you see a conference, there's one that I'm looking at, the National Association of Black Law Enforcement Executives, I think that's it. And I looked at the list of workshops, and one I was particularly interested in, dealing with how to determine if you have groups in the department that I don't even know how to characterize hate groups, but that interested me. So I might try and go down there. I don't know, but we have fun so that we can educate ourselves. And so
Where's that one? And when?
that's in New Orleans in
I could go to New Orleans.
August. Go to the conference.
No, I think you want to go to the session on how to eradicate white supremacy. and
Yes.
everything. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping to go, but I'm not sure yet. But take a look at those conferences when they come up, because that's why we have a budget, so that we can educate ourselves. Is this something that I should know about? Was that
That's for later, that's for you.
That's for me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any other communications?
Yeah, we'll just mention one thing is, a few weeks ago, we had a first meeting with the chief and the leading officers of the department, leadership of the department, and it was really a frank and open exchange of ideas and concerns, and I felt that it was really a very positive step on part of both the chief and the leadership of the department and us to have this kind of dialogue. It's paramount to have those open channels, and it's also easy to convey our concerns directly versus through other channels. And Chair Carter had certain issues that she addressed. I think probably are familiar with her passion about many of these concerns, and also I discussed some of our findings from reviewing the complaints and what we see as areas of improvement of either on part of the department where we have policies and people have to have some kind of uniform interactions. It's like if you stop somebody, it's just if you introduce yourself, that by itself de-escalate any of the concerns or stresses that a citizen would have. And also our recommendations. So this is an ongoing, hopefully is ongoing area of communications and meetings. Looking forward to our next one. We'll probably arrange for that. And we'll raise some of the, on my part, I will raise some of the issues concerning certain aspects of complaints, because we cannot address all of them in one meeting, but gradually we can reach a point where these ideas of us would probably improve not just the action, but also improve the interactions between the citizens and the police department, to build the trust. And this is why we are here.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Hoffman, for bringing that up. It was a very good meeting. We were outnumbered greatly, but they they let us talk. And sometimes I talk a lot, but they let us go on, and it was good. It was a good exchange. Any other communications? Anyone else have anything that they need to talk about for the good of the order? If not, I'm going to ask for a motion.
We don't have a quorum.
Oh, okay. We can't carry out any business. We can't adjourn, so you all just have to stay here. Thank you all for coming.
All right,
Thank you.